The Singatoka River calmly meanders towards the coast, carving its way through a vast patchwork of neat green fields. This is Fiji's salad bowl, the Singatoka Valley. Ideally located between the wet eastern and drier western side of Fiji's main island Viti Levu, it is the country's hub for fruit and vegetable production. Produce Specialties Limited, PSL, manages a 40-acre farm in the valley dedicated to papaya production. Papaya has grown to become a major agricultural export commodity for Fiji, and PSL is the country's largest producer and exporter of the fruit. Each of these acres can produce around 500 of this type of papaya called Sunrise Solo, a product marketed as Fiji Red. It is a sweet red flesh fruit, high in demand overseas.
And we involved mostly on planting papaya and exporting to 3-4 countries at the moment. We're supplying to New Zealand. Australia is our main market, and Hong Kong and Japan. There is a good money in papaya, and as all of us know, we all know that papaya is good business and a big market overseas. So that's why we are concentrating on papaya.
My name is Mr. Puskar Charan, and I stay at Malangarangere, just near Ayandua village, say about 7 kilometers from Singatoka town to Asineni. Way back about 10 years back, I started this for farming, and it was PSL who encouraged me to do this for farming. And though it was very small scale farming, as times went by, I have put my bit of effort in making a big farm. Yeah, it's very good for export.
Charan used to grow sugarcane, but with the ailing sugar industry in recent years, he sees papaya as a viable alternative. 4,000 papaya trees now spread across 20 acres of land, which yields an average harvest of 1.5 tons per week. Most of these will go to PSL for export, and whatever remains will be sold on the local market in Lautoka and Suva.
Well, business is quite good. I don't have any problem. Well, problem is everywhere. In every business you have a problem. We have to brace ourselves. We must have some good times, some bad times. Usually at the moment what I should like to tell, business is okay.
In early 2009, however, the agriculture industry was hard hit when raging floodwaters swept through Viti Levu's western region. Overall damage estimates accumulated into the millions. At that time, papaya exports were soaring to record levels, 15 tons per week. But with the floods, exports sank to a mere 5 tons for the whole of January of the same year. Climatic vulnerabilities aren't the only concern. Retired school principal Satya Nand invested his pension savings into his farm in Kavanangasao, where he grows tobacco, cash crops and papaya. This harvest is fetching a good price on the local market, but Nand says it isn't always the case.
Marketing is one of the major challenges, like when the supply exceeds the demand in the local market, the price goes down. I went to the extent of selling one box of pawpaw from the farm gate for $2. At that time I was getting about 400 crates. I was not exporting. I was not giving to one of the exporters that time. Now the manure, paying to the workers, the diesel for the tractor, sometimes I was left with $50 a week. or $100 a week. But I kept on. I felt that one day I will get more from that. So then I got hold of one of the exporters, who was buying 1 kg of popo for $1 kg for the export popo. And then that lifted me from the financial hardship. The transporting is another problem because the exporters don't feel like to come here because they complain that the road is bumpy. Like when they buy something, by the time they take it to the quarantine, they say that some of the popos have got their scratches, and then some of the popos are not worthy to be exported. So they complain about that.
Consistent supply and quality is paramount in any export business. But with the papaya changing hands many times between the farm and supermarket shelves, delivery delays and physical damage are sometimes inevitable. Farmers and exporters like PSL are working to address these challenges with the assistance of the Fiji Papaya Project.
The Fiji Papaya Project is about applied research, solving problems, and then extension, which is taking this information out to the farmers and out to the exporters to try and improve their business. Sometimes there's issues as simple as miscommunication between the farmers and the exporters. This can be issues to do with pricing, not understanding why an exporter who used to come right up the valley to buy fruit is not coming up there anymore. So it's the priorities change. Certainly for some of our research activities, they're quite constant. Our research activities are basically broken up by on-farm trials and off-farm trials. We have about 6 core trials that we're doing.
We're really trying to find out the economics of producing organically certified papaya on a very small scale, half acre. Note that it hasn't been certified, but the theory is that this is what we're going to come up with. So we're trying to find out the viability. Is it worth it for farmers to use these organic products, these organic fertilizers, and the way that we're maintaining our trenches and all the package of practices that come up with it, and just comparing it with the conventional. We can give them all the results with all the data that we're collecting. The results which have been analyzed and which we'll write it up into a manual, and farmers can see for themselves and make informed decisions whether to go for organic or conventional.
The Fiji Papaya Project was set up in 2009 through core funding from the Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research, ACIAR. It operates as a research and extension arm of Nature's Way Cooperative, NWC, based here at Nasoso in Nandi.
Nature's Way runs a quarantine treatment facility which provides quarantine treatment to fruit fly host products, namely papaya, known as popo. Many people call it popo, but it's papaya, and then eggplants, mangoes, and breadfruit. It started very small in 1996 with the first 30 tons of papaya being exported. Now we've come to a stage whereby we export more than 1,200 tons of produce. It's an industry owned there, which comprises of farmers, exporters, and the employees of Nature's Way. That's our core function, not only to provide the quarantine treatment, but we need to look after the industry itself, the farmers, the producers, and the exporters themselves. They are all members of the cooperative.
This is good news for companies like PSL. After working through the night, cleaning and sorting through hundreds of papaya, the company truck arrives early at NWC with another export consignment. But the checks and measures are not over yet. Under the watchful eye of biosecurity officers, the papaya is again sorted and placed in treatment bins. The largest fruit are inserted with probes to monitor temperature, and then the machines take over.
The machine will take the fruit inside temperature to 47.2 degrees. It's a quarantine required temperature, and 47.2 degrees is a fruit fly kill temperature. A test has been done in previous years at the very beginning, 1995-96, that in that temperature fruit fly will die. That's why the machine is set up to that temperature, that the machine will take all the fruit inside temperature to 47.2 degrees, and after that it will hold for 20 minutes. When that 20 heating process is over, then another process will begin, a cooling process, that we say hydrocooling process. Again on the screen we'll shut down some of the machineries and open some of the taps. It will be just like shower type in the machine, and again on the screen you can see the temperature from 47 or 48, it will fall down to 32 degrees. As the temperature falls down to 32 degrees, it's a safe level. To our operation manual, it says on the temperature when it falls down to 32 degrees, you can offload the produce and start packing.
Packing in the fruit fly free zone is done according to the exporter's requirements. Each of PSL's fruit is given the Fiji Red brand. This consignment is headed for the airport, but PSL and the Fiji Papaya Project are also trialing the viability of sea freight. This means a number of issues need to be weighed, right down to the packaging.
So our standard cotton is like this. It's a sealed cotton. There's no air vents and no holes. So the problem with a cotton like this is when we put it into a sea freight container, we're trying to cool down the fruit so that it doesn't ripen during transportation. But obviously with a sealed cotton, you can't get very good cold air. So we redesigned a cotton that had vents in it like this, and so that when the cold air is bottom fed through the sea freight container, that it's able to properly cool this. Just to be able to use a cotton like this, we had to get specific approvals from New Zealand Biosecurity because the whole biosecurity protocol is to keep fruit flies out of the cotton, and obviously when you put holes in it, then you allow fruit flies to come back in. So we had to design a special, basically a pallet sock, which is like a big mosquito net that goes over the top of the pallet in order to convince them that no fruit flies can come back into the cotton. In our air freight containers, the cottons are stacked about 8 high. When we got into sea freight containers, we're stacking them 12 and 13 high. So that means that our standard cotton suffered some crushing on the corners. So we had to design a reinforced collar that goes inside. And so there was a whole number of research activities that are involved with this sea freight consignment. But the basic results were that it is economically viable and commercially viable to sea freight papaya to New Zealand. Australia is a bit more difficult because we don't have good sea freight linkages. It takes a lot longer, but to New Zealand, it's commercially viable. And we're able to freight our papaya to New Zealand at half the cost. As sea freight is half the cost of air freight. And so that provides a great new opportunity for our exporters to reduce the cost of their product and sending it into the market.
Through the coordinated efforts of Nature's Way, the Fiji Papaya Project and other stakeholders, papaya exports have reached record heights, 804 tons in 2011. Promising results for papaya, which could also pave the way for other agricultural industries to soon follow suit.